Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce CMAtics video session 154. So basically in today's video, we will actually do a complete, recap or, we will understand the difference between each one of the subcharts which is present under circles and dots. So basically it's nothing but the donut, okay? Then the scatter plot, then the horizontal dot plot and vertical dot plot. We will try to quickly understand what are the difference which is existing between each one of them, okay? So what I will do is I will quickly go to Analytics Studio and let me open all the charts one by one. So firstly, let me open the donut chart. Then let me open the scatter plot. Let me open the horizontal dot plot, and finally let me open the vertical dot plot. Okay. Okay. So firstly, the thing is that this part is very much clear to us that under circles and dot, these are the four charts which we are donut, scatter plot, okay, horizontal dot plot and vertical dot plot. Fine. Now over here, if you can see, like the first part which comes is actually related to visualization, isn't it? So basically here we have something related to donuts, okay, and here actually if you check, it is related to scatter. Basically it's like plotting a graph, okay, it's like a graph kind of a format, and the same thing is basically in the horizontal. So basically in scatter plot you have the complete graph format, you have the x-axis and y-axis. When it comes to the horizontal and or vertical dot plot, you have actually the axis in one of the parts. So it's like a uh, single axis graph, okay, more like a single axis graph. When it comes to scatter plot, it's more like a double axis graph or a normal graph which you have, and donut has nothing to do with the graph, okay. So that's the first form of difference which is related to visualization. Secondly, if you see, as far as the trellis and chart markers are concerned, I think it's present everywhere, okay. The trellis and chart markers are present everywhere, which is fine, okay. Now when I talked about the visualization, the second part which comes is that, under this scatter plot, sorry, under this donut chart, you have nothing related to x-axis and y-axis, okay. Nothing related to that is there, which is present in the other three, okay. In other three, you have this option of x-axis and y-axis, fine. Now let's come to the main difference related to charts, okay. And yeah, so when it comes to the donut chart, as you can see, we have such kind of formatting options where you can change the center size of the donut. Okay, you can make some custom text, or you can make the center value. So whatever center value you want to give, either a total, you want to show the total, you don't want to show at all, that is completely upon you, and you can play around with the center size. Okay. Now when it comes to the scatter plot, fine, it has something to do with the maximum bubble ratio, fine, which is like how big you want that bubble to be, okay. When it comes to scatter plot, when it comes to horizontal dot plot, again it's about auto fit, fine. It's like how you want to choose the scaling. It's more about the scaling, and here also it's more about the scaling part. So basically when it comes to donut chart, as you can understand, we can play around with the center value, how much is the center size, okay, that kind of thing. When it comes to scatter plot, is more about the bubble ratio, how you want to portray it. And when it comes to horizontal dot plot and vertical dot plot, it's about like how you want to ensure the scaling is applied to fit the continuing widget. Okay. And other than that, of course, now if you go to the x-axis, fine, all that particular title is there. So you can add the reference line, both the x-axis and y-axis reference line. Okay, that is definitely something which is possible in scatter. On horizontal dot plot, basically, you can only add the reference line in the x-axis, okay? So y-axis, you have certain other options, which is fine, but under the x-axis, you can add that. And when it comes to the vertical dot plot, actually, you can add the reference line on the y-axis, okay? So that is something which is completely there, okay? Other than that, I think rest of the things, nothing much difference is there. So legends, tooltip, all these are part and parcel of all the charts, which is fine. We can always play around with it. Now, one another thing to notice is like when it comes to the donut chart, we deal with the segment size and segment. Okay. Like if we just avoid the trail is an unuseful as of now, we deal with the segment size and segments. Now, when it comes to the scatter plot, we deal with both x-axis, y-axis, bubble size, and bubbles. Okay. And same thing happens with this part as well. Okay, that is the horizontal dot plot and vertical dot plot. Fine. So only for the donut chart we deal with segment size and segment, and for others we deal with x-axis, y-axis, bubble size and bubbles. Okay, so that's the whole thing about this one. Fine. And yeah, I think that's it about all this kind of difference which is there. So again, just to give a recap of whatever things we have learned. So firstly, always remember this is the part. Okay, this might come in interview, like what are the subcharts which are in the circles and all. So these are the four. Fine, that's the first thing. And what is the difference between each one of them? The first is always related to, you can always talk about the visualization of how the visualization aspect is, like as I mentioned. Okay, the second part, and because when you talk about the visualization, the second part you can mention is about the donut chart not having any settings related to axis, and that's obvious, that shouldn't be there, which is present in other three. Okay. Thirdly, like donut chart, we deal with segments size and segments. In others, we deal with x-axis, y-axis, bubble size and bubbles. Okay, that's the thing. And fourthly, the thing is that like here we can play around with the center size, center value, and the center size. And when it comes to this one, we can play around with the maximum bubble ratio. And when it comes to the horizontal dot plot and vertical dot plot, actually we play around with nothing but the whether it's whether the axis can be auto fit or not. I mean whether the scaling can be properly applied. Okay. Fifth point of difference is like when it comes to the reference line, you can apply both the x-axis and y-axis only in the scatter plot. Okay, on the scatter plot you can apply for both, and when it comes to horizontal dot plot, you can apply the scaling on the x-axis. Okay, you can apply the scaling on the x-axis, and when it comes to vertical dot plot, you can apply the scaling on the y-axis. Sorry, not scaling, I mean the reference line. Okay, so basically the reference line is something you can add on x-axis and y-axis and scatter plot, and when it comes to the horizontal dot plot, you can apply the, the reference line on the x-axis, and when it comes to vertical dot plot, you can apply the reference line on the y-axis. Okay, so yeah, that's it about this one. These are more or less the difference which is existing between each one of the subcharts which are present under the circles and dots. Fine, and other tips are other things are already fine, we can always do that. And yeah, we can also ensure that the trellis also can be played around if needed. For example, like here, if I just quickly play around with the trellis, so for example in the trellis, let's say I bring something related to stage, for example. Okay, so as you can see, this is how the whole things looks like. Okay, so trellis is something we have observed earlier as well, but I'm just quickly showing you how for each one of them, when we bring in the trellis aspect, how each one of them looks like. So this is how it looks like, as you can see here, and over here as well. Like if you bring something related to trellis, maybe what I can do is I can bring the stage. Okay, let's say I bring the stage over here. So this is how it looks like. Okay, as you can see over here. Fine, and once you come to the trellis part, we will have all these options, which is fine. Okay, we can play around with all these options. Let it remain by default as what it is right now. And here also, for example, I go for something related to industry. Okay, so again, this is another thing which you can see, like this is how it looks like as well. Fine. Yeah, this is how this, if I bring something related to industry, this is how it looks like. And here also, for example, if I bring something related to industry, it looks like as well. Okay, and yeah, one more part is actually like here, if you just check the scatter plot, basically we always deal with measures. So when it comes to x-axis, y-axis and bubble size, we are completely dealing with measures. Okay, and only for the bubbles we are dealing with the dimensions. Fine, it can be dimensions or it can be date. Okay, so that is another point of difference, where in scatter plot, in the x-axis, y-axis, bubble size, you deal with the measures, and with the bubbles you deal with dimensions. When it comes to horizontal dot plot, with x-axis you deal with measures, with y-axis you deal with dimensions or date. Again, with bubble size you deal with measures, and with bubbles you deal with dimensions or date. Okay, and again when it comes to the so basically vertical dot plot is just the reverse of that. Okay, that's how we need to remember. So for y-axis dimension, it will be x-axis dimension, and that y-axis will be measures. And similarly here also, like bubble size definitely will remain same. Okay, so bubble size, so one thing is for sure, the bubble size which is there, that will be related to measures in all the three. Okay, and finally the bubbles will be related to dimension only. Okay, so yeah, this is the one way you can remember, like basically in all these three, that is the scatter plot, horizontal dot plot and vertical dot plot, which is related to graph, there the bubble size will always be related to measure and the bubbles will be related to dimensions or date. But in scatter plot, the x-axis, y-axis both relates to dimension. But in horizontal dot plot, the x-axis relates to dimension, and y-axis relates x-axis relates to measures, and y-axis relates to dimension. And in vertical dot plot is the other way around, where x-axis is related to dimension and y-axis is related to measures. Okay, so yeah, this is some of the differences, and just an overall recap of what are the things which are there present under this circles and dots. So that's it about this one. I'm not saving this one related to trellis, but I'm just showing you how the visualization looks like, which is not, I mean, that's something we have done earlier as well. But yeah, these are some of the differences you must definitely know, and prepare yourself when you're going for an interview. And yeah, from next video, we will actually start with the grids. Okay, so under grids chart, we have all this kind of charts, that is heat map, matrix and tree map. So maybe what I will do is I will very quickly try to cover, all the grids portion, which is there. Maybe I will start with heat map and explain properly one of them, and in the next videos, I will explain this two at one go. Fine. So yeah, that's it about this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, let's meet very soon in our next video. Thank you.